everyone, welcome back to Inside Game for Tuesday.
That's right, it's Tuesday, and we've got some more details about what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will look like, and apparently it's got a lot more awesome features than what EA and Respawn showed off at E3.
Cowards. Yeah, the gameplay we saw at E3 underwhelmed some people who thought it looked fairly generic.
Yeah, it felt like a pretty standard linear action game, maybe even a little Uncharted-ish with lots of climbing and melee combat.
But apparently, nope, it's a lot more than that, right, Lawrence?
That's confusing. Why didn't they show that? It's E3, that's what it's for, right? Instead we got 10 minutes of super linear stormtrooper chopping.
Yeah, it's weird.
To be fair,
it was cool.
It was a pretty awesome 10 minutes. Yeah, but
Internet
still.
did not like it, though.
What?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I saw some people who were into it.
The overwhelming
The robot
opinion...
kid, he puts his foot in the wall.
He throws a laser bolt.
Most people said they were whelmed.
Yeah, it's confusing that Respawn wouldn't spill all the midichlorians about the game.
Good reference.
Yeah, thanks.
what?
I was trying to cram as many in there as I could, but yeah, so
fine.
we have some theories on why the marketing might be the way it is right now, but let's get back to the game details first, because that's the good news, so let's talk about that.
So some folks in games media got to play an extended demo and said there's a lot more to it than the gameplay that we saw publicly.
One such journalist, Brad Shoemaker at Giant Bomb, said on a recent podcast the game felt like a combo of Metroid and Dark Souls.
That's cool. Specifically, he said, quote, the first point at which I started picking up that something was off about my initial impression of the game was when the demo guide said, oh yeah, you have a ship and a crew and there's a bunch of planets and you just can fly between them at will.
That's so cool.
I was like, wait a minute, is this not just a linear action game? It's not. The demo guide said you can go do the planets in whatever order.
That's really neat.
Also, full disclosure, I wore the Star Wars shirt before I knew what we were doing today.
You did. You just like Star Wars.
It was a free t-shirt.
So that would have been cool to see at the demo, you know, when you're showing off the game to the public, right, Lawrence? Like,
Yeah,
that's what you do.
and the game apparently, the abilities and upgrades you will get allow you to discover and explore new areas. I kind of got that vibe from the demo, because there's that like cracked door that you have to force push open. That's an ability that lets you open doors to get to new areas.
Okay.
And that felt very Metroidy to me about how you need the missiles to get through the red door. So I was hoping that was the case. I'm glad that it is. Your little droid buddy, was it BD9?
I don't remember his name, but he's adorable.
I know
He's
you
so
can
cute.
you can buy him at Galaxy's Edge today. I'm not a shill.
Can you really?
I'm not a
You can really? Oh,
No.
Probably.
The timelines don't match up. Galaxy's Edge is post episode 8.
It's sad we know this.
He'll get upgrades that let you open up new places, that let you interact with fuse boxes and other machinery to open up new areas. Yeah, sounds super Metroid-y to
Yeah,
me.
that's great. That's great. I like
Yeah,
that.
you also get powers on some planets that help you open up areas in other planets, kind of like first push, or there's probably rocks that you have to like levitate and stuff. Who knows? Whole areas of other planets are optional where you can do side activities.
Oh, like side quests.
Yeah.
So that's a little more open world than we thought.
I think so, yeah.
Possibly.
It sounds like it's fitting the bill of something that isn't necessarily just a 6-hour Uncharted run through and like just have your fun and like see Nathan Drake get hit by a car or whatever.
Yeah, it actually sounds a lot more like the more recent God of War.
Yeah.
Calling something Metroid-y is just saying it's like video game design in the last 30 years. Exploration and upgrades are rewarded, and that's sort of how you keep people doing the same thing over and over without getting bored or feeling like you're progressing. So if it's doing that, that's fine. That just means you're gonna have a linear experience. They can go back and re-explore, and I guess that feels like you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
So.
Shoemaker also said there's a Star Wars style hollow map that reminded him of the map in Metroid Prime.
As for the Dark Souls comparison, lots of people who played the demo noticed that there are meditation locations in Fallen Order that serve the same purpose that bonfires did in Dark Souls games. That doesn't mean all the stormtroopers are going to come back to life.
Yeah,
They
that's
get
what
to
it
do-
sounds like.
Yeah, the
do it
meditation
again.
locations are where you kneel to save your game, reset enemies, and activate your skill tree.
Holy crap. Here's also another thing. I just know this about the game industry. The games industry loves Dark Souls. I know there's like a hardcore following it, people, but like game developers love Dark Souls. And so they're trying to take Dark Souls things and put them in their games.
That doesn't surprise me. For a long time, I want to say for the last 10 to 15 years, single player games have mostly just been E3 demos of like running down an exploding hallway, cutscenes and drama because they were chasing this weird movie cinematic phenomenon. Dark Souls is shifting back the other way. Let's make a video game again. So I see how game developers might be really enamored with it and want to copy that for their thing, because at least it proved that it can sell.
Shoemaker also said that the maps have shortcuts that you can unlock to make travel quicker, and the maps wrap back around, very similar to Dark Souls, which maps were famously known for, and people applauded over and over again. Of
You
the
cut
great
through them, or
Yeah.
go around stuff.
Slowly pull that lever to lower the
Which,
elevator.
like Lawrence is saying, is something video games have been doing for decades. They just finally did it in a 3D
Rather
hack.
than
Yeah,
2D platform.
exactly. Yeah.
Overall, Shoemaker said he was more impressed than what we saw in the public gameplay at E3.
So apparently, Metroid references are not off the mark. We're right to say that, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
Not at all.
Metroid references shot first.
Nice job. Game Informer also confirmed a lot of this in an article about how the gameplay will be similar to Metroid, using new powers to open up new areas. Yeah, Lawrence?
Yeah, the game's director Stig Asmussen said that they looked at the structure of Metroid Prime closely when designing Fallen Order. Holy shit, That's like, I love Metroid Prime, so this is like
It's a great game.
possible news.
It's a great game.
He said, quote, early on, I looked at the cadence of getting upgrades in Metroid and we mapped that out. Ours in Jedi Fallen Order is nothing like that, but it was a good exercise to go through. Okay, cool.
Debunked. Change that title.
He also said the combat is somewhat inspired by Dark Souls. You can block and parry attacks to try and break an enemy's defensive meter. Sounds a little bit like Sekiro too.
Yeah, the posture meter.
Exactly, yeah. Combat designer Jason DeHeras said, it's about the player trying to read each enemy, figure out what the challenge is and what the different timings are, and react to that and have some strategy.
Dark Souls.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
fine. I mean, all the combat that we saw in the demo, I think, showed a little bit of that like the fights were more one-on-one. It wasn't go and kill a crowd of people. I'm sure that will happen eventually in the game, but like they want you to have these smaller fights, which I took as a good thing.
And maybe like Souls, the little pockets of stormtroopers are just there to chip away at your health. So if you're not paying attention, you might wander into the boss fight with half health instead of full, just because some stormtroopers were able to nick you here and there.
You're like, help me out, BB1? Is it
BD1.
BD.
You were close.
Little guy, we'll get there.
So Jason Schreier over at Kotaku confirmed that he'd heard similar things about the gameplay, and he was baffled at what they chose to show publicly.
Yeah, he tweeted, quote, I have no idea why EA would show linear, Nathan Drake-ish action-adventure footage, and it sounds like this game is so much more than that.
We obviously don't work at EA or Respawn ourselves this way, this stupid t-shirt I'm wearing, so we can't tell you the answer to that, but we do think an awful lot about video games, so we can at least offer some speculation.
First off, making a demo takes a lot of time and work. A lot of people talk about this. A lot of game developers always talk about how they have to work towards E3 just for an 8-minute demo or whatever. That time could be better spent working on the actual game.
We're somewhat jaded, right, Lawrence? I don't know.
Yeah, we're part of the system, so I'm not gonna lie about that. Assholes like us will pick everything apart just to get some YouTube views out of it. It's kind of what we're doing right now. So a demo has to be 100% spotless because they know that people are gonna do exactly what we're doing right now. So they can't really have anything that's like broken or unseemly, or even worse, implies there might be some microtransaction bullshittery afoot.
Pay to win!
Yeah, exactly.
game.
Because then you'll have angry YouTubers bellowing about it for months, getting tons of views while you're just pulling out your hair because...
And destroying the game.
Yes,
too.
exactly. So yeah, at that point you've lost control of the game's marketing, while people on YouTube and the rest of the internet that swear they love Star Wars are telling everyone that EA has done the worst and that this game's gonna be terrible and you should hate it. I get why they might only show the most buttoned down, normal, appreciable, digestible parts of the game right now.
And on top of all of that, there's still plenty of time until the game releases this November. They've got a lot of time basically to get their marketing right on and communicate that it's not just a linear hack and slash, so please do the right thing.
It's possible EA already has marketing beats in mind to reveal the other aspects of the game.
Yeah, speaking of which, it's actually not super easy to communicate how those Metroid / Dark Souls style systems work, especially if you're trying to reach the broadest audience, which is what Star Wars does at the end of the day.
It really does. You, me, everyone watching this video knows about that stuff already, so all you have to do is say, oh, it's like Dark Souls, we get it. But we'd guess EA wants more than just enthusiast gamers to play this, right, Lawrence?
If you think about it, there aren't actually that many games with the whole Metroid Dark Souls style that communicate their nature all that well through marketing materials. It's a hard concept to convey to somebody who's never played a game like that in a 2 to 3 minute trailer. All of From Software's trailers are largely mood and tone based, like a lot of dark choral chanting with weird imagery of nightmare creatures from beyond the grave. I mean, take Elden Ring for example. The trailer has some vague imagery, but we already kind of have an idea of what that game might be like just because of From Software's style and how much they've used it in the past couple of games. So the closest example we can think of in this regard of a game that has that structure and is communicated through marketing materials is the stuff from Rockstar. Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 all have trailers like that. They're long and they have a narrator telling you in almost comedic, literal detail how the game is going to work. Not shockingly then, those games are also able to reach a mass market that From Software games haven't really yet. Who knows, maybe 2 months from now we'll get a 10-minute narrated trailer about Jedi Fallen Order walking you through all the game systems and how you can go from planet to planet.
I mean, like I said, the most similar game recently that plays like this is God of War. Took some cues from Dark Souls and other games and older games too, and I don't think any of that was ever communicated in the press materials or anything that we saw. We just saw a pretty game, basically, and I'm guessing EA is just trying to do the same thing. Go, look, Star Wars is pretty, everyone buy it, and then anyone who actually pays attention to video game design or any of those sorts of things we do, we're gonna go, oh, cool, they actually cared.
That sounds to me like really smart marketing, to be honest with you. EA might have just decided to show off the combat and the graphics and leave it at that, even if it came off as looking a little simplistic, at least for now, because we're getting there. It's not November yet. So.
Yeah, it can be difficult to show off the nuances of a game in one of these presentations. It's probably better suited to be more of a long-form video that you do post-E3.
Or a demo to Games Media where they can translate those details to their audience, just like happened in this episode, which probably comes to the table with all the gaming knowledge to digest that info.
Perhaps we're the vocal minority. Maybe we're the problem.
EA, don't ruin this.
That's enough shilling on their behalf of EA. We don't want you to do that anymore. We have complete 100% proof that they are going to ruin Star Wars once again.
Give it to us, Lawrence. What's the proof?
Can I chop some ass arm off with my laser sword?
I mean, he's just a stormtrooper.
How dare he sign up for the Galactic Empire or whatever? He's just trying to get his college paid. Him. Some fans are also wondering about Dismemberment and whether or not that will be a factor in the game since it has lightsabers. And to be fair, chopped off arms have played a significant role in the movies.
Those are story beats, though.
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Sometimes.
Rarely you've seen a Jedi running around just spinning in circles, cutting everyone in half.
Heads and arms, legs.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there will be. Calm down.
Okay,
There's gonna
yeah.
be some dismemberment, just not a human.
Shoemaker said that you'll only be able to dismember droids, and that policy sounds like it's coming down from the big old mouse himself, Disney.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
IGN's Ryan McCaffrey also played the demo. He said he was bummed with the lack of dismemberment. Lead designer told him it was a Lucas brand thing that you can dismember non-humans, like spiders, like big giant spiders, and then also droids.
Yeah, and look, we've seen dismemberment in pre-Disney Star Wars games. That's probably a move to keep it relatively family safe, right?
Yeah, and if you think about it, the movies have kind of moved away from that happening too. There was all the droid focus in the prequels. Episode 7 really had no dismemberment at all. Snoke did get chopped in half in 8, spoilers by the way. But it kind of happened in the background as like off camera, very Darth Maul sort of approach. So
Yeah, it's all kind of out of focus.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel
that might
like-
be MPAA BS, basically.
I'm glad they decided, wait, oh, that's outside. Never
Yeah.
mind.
That's a big truck.
Maybe Lucas is just trying to move Star Wars away from like gritty in-your-face violence, which honestly makes a lot of sense since increasingly Star Wars is positioned as a family-friendly mass-market property. I mean, when it was like gritty Empire and stuff like that, it was just kind of getting started. It was maybe seen as more of an adult thing, but now it's for everybody, and that means no arms flying off and no guts falling out. So, you know, that's how it goes.
Guts wouldn't fly out. The wounds would be cauterized, Lawrence.
There was blood in A New Hope. How come the arm was bloody?
That's wrong. And also, apparently that species bleeds or something. I don't know. It's some stupid canon thing that I've read.
Anyway, with all that aside, it actually feels like the game we're talking about today, Jedi Fallen Order, sounds a little bit more deeper than what we saw at E3, which is a very encouraging sign, I think, for anyone who's either on the fence or feeling negative towards the game.
Yeah, after lots of people were disappointed in the newer Battlefront games, me included, fans have been clamoring for a single-player adventure, and this sounds like it'll scratch that itch.
Hopefully, yeah, and despite the fact that Respawn most recently made Apex Legends, they have a history of games that are pretty good with the stories, at least.
Yeah, that's right. Another one of their games, Titanfall 2. Did you play the single-player in Titanfall 2?
Yeah, I loved it. Sadly, it didn't make a huge splash when it landed in 2016, which is weird because that's the one thing everyone said they wanted out of Titanfall 1 was a campaign. But it's now considered by a lot of people to have a really good story and a fantastic single-player campaign. I'd be one of them. It's one of the tightest, like 6 to 8 hours you'll play in a single-player shooter. So yeah, this is ostensibly exactly what Star Wars needs: a God of War style open world,
Absolutely.
like lore rich, play by yourself, be a Jedi man. I'm excited. The Dark Forces series was awesome, but it's been dormant for a long time. So
Don't forget too, I know Respawn's a relatively new studio, but these are the guys who did some of the best Call of Duties back in the day.
ever, yeah.
The original Modern Warfare being that one.
They
which
know
is like-
combat.
And in either case, the game releases in about 5 months on November 15th, so we get to see more of it, hopefully before that. If there's some sort of gameplay demo or something we get to do, they get like a hands-on preview, that would be nice, but if we don't, at least the game's coming out soon, we can make our own judgment then.
We need to reach out to Respawn and see if they can send that game over to us.
I think if we yell loud enough, they might hear us.
I'll go into my meditation chambers, like that Darth Vader egg. I'll go
Oh, yeah.
into that.
Yeah,
And then I'll astral project into the bathroom at Respawn and just start whispering that they need to send the demo
I
notes.
never realized. Maybe he was astral projecting it.
I wonder about that, because there's nothing in that egg.
That's a good theory.
Because
I'm pretty sure that was this fleshlight room. Games that have been widely criticized for their monetization practices.
They've also killed off some Star Wars projects too, right, Lawrence?
Oh yeah, boy, they're really playing to their strengths. Starting out promising things and then murdering them in front of everybody. Yeah, EA famously canceled a single-player game codenamed Project Ragtag and shut down Visceral Studios, the company that had been developing that game. Later canceled the open-world Star